Right, so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can take care of your lawn this autumn. Now, just before I get into all the different steps that we're going to go through in today's video, I just want to establish that there's going to be absolutely no jargon, no waffle in this video. It's not going to be something where I hit you with a million different products or a million different techniques or things you've got to do to your lawn to take care of it during the autumn and the winter. It's going to be very simple, very straight to the point, and something that anyone can do at home. You don't need loads of time, you don't need to be out here tending to your lawn every single day. What you do need to do is a few things right, and it'll set you up perfect for the autumn and the winter. Now, the first thing you want to consider is how often you're going to get on and cut your lawn. Now, in the height of the summer, I was cutting my lawn every 2 days, and the reason for that was because we had great temperatures and we had quite a bit of rain as well, which just meant that lawn was in like a continual sort of period of growth. However, now that the weather's getting cooler, and by the time I post this video, it's going to be sort of end of September, it doesn't really need to be cut as much because we've got a lot of rain, but we don't have those high temperatures, which gives the grass that boost of growth. In terms of how high you're going to cut your lawn, I'm going to stick cutting this at 25 mil, but that's what I've been cutting it at all year anyway. So whatever you are cutting it at now, you can keep it the same, but there's no issue with bringing it down slightly too. And just before I cut the lawn, anyone who watched last week's video will know that I filled this space in with some new soil and some new seed, but the dog has already got to it. Within about 2 days, he'd ripped it out. I didn't have any more topsoil. However, I have bought some from the garden centre this morning, so we'll get this hole filled in at the end. Just getting all the stuffing off the lawn from where the dog has, again, dismembered another toy. One thing that's evident straight away is the fact that the stripes haven't popped as much as they usually do, and I think that's because if you'd have seen last week's video, I actually used a scarifier to thin this lawn out by ripping out any of the thatch that was there, but it has been overseeded, so give it a few weeks and this will start to thicken up and the stripes will slowly start to come back. But as we do get into the winter, they're going to not be as nice because the grass is eventually going to go dormant when the temperatures start to drop even further. You can see, if we get down close to the soil layer, that some of the new growth has started to come through from the seeds that we actually put down last week. So the average length of each of the grass seeds is around about 0.5 centimetre so far. So give it another couple of weeks and they will really start to mature, thicken up, and this lawn will be looking a little bit better than what it's looking today. And as well as reducing the frequency that you're mowing the lawn, it's also important to be getting on with some autumn winter fertilizer too. Now, the way this fertilizer differs from the spring summer mix is that it has a 6, 5, 10 NPK rating on it, and it also contains more iron too. Now, I did say that this video wouldn't contain any jargon, and I just hit you with a bit of jargon with a few random letters and a few random numbers, but the NPK is pretty simple to understand once you get your head around it. So N stands for nitrogen, and nitrogen is responsible for the actual growth of the grass plant. So we tend to put a lot of nitrogen down in the spring and the summer because the weather's quite nice, the grass is actively growing, and the nitrogen just gives it that extra boost to thicken up the blades and to green up to look nice. The P stands for phosphorus, and what the phosphorus does is it's great for root development. So when you're putting new seed down on your lawn, it's quite important to get on with a pre-seed fertilizer, and that's usually a 6-9-6 mix, the 9 being the phosphorus, and that then allows the new plants to establish the roots quicker, which means you can then get on and cut it quicker too. And finally, the K is for potassium, and potassium is also great for the root development. But what it is also important for is the photosynthesis of the plant. Now, as we get into the autumn and the winter, we have far less sun that hits the grass. The sun's obviously lower in the sky, so putting more potassium down is great because it'll aid with the photosynthesis process. So with this being a 6-5-10 mix, the 6 is for nitrogen, which it's obviously got a reduction of because I think it's around about 10 in the summer fertilizer that I use, and other fertilizers this is much higher. The 5 is obviously for your phosphorus, which is also fairly low, but 10 is for your potassium, which is much higher, which is what you need in a winter mix. This mix also has double the amount of iron as well that you have in the spring summer bag, and the reason for that is that iron gives the lawn a nice green colour without giving it a boost of growth, and also your lawn is more prone to moss in the autumn and the winter too, with the temperatures being lower and there being much more moisture in the soil. So by getting some iron down, helps control any moss and keeps the lawn looking pretty nice, keeping it green. Now, I don't often show this side of the garden because, as you can tell, it's in a bit of a mess at the moment, and the reason why I've not done anything with it this year is because I wanted to make this a barbecue station, and I've been torn all year whether to put a patio down, whether to just stone it, to put a decking down or anything like that. And one, I don't really know which one to go with yet, and two, I don't have the money for either of them at the moment because we've got other things in the works. So this is definitely going to be a job for next year, unfortunately. But what this space is good for is putting some fertilizer into a drop spreader so I don't get any on the lawn in too concentrated of a form. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the drop spreader on setting 5 because it means the holes at the bottom are quite small, but they are big enough so the product can fall through, but not in too much of a concentrated pattern. And I'm going to do about 3 passes across the lawn to get a really good distribution of the fertilizer onto the lawn. Now what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to go up and down the other way just to make sure I've not left any spaces across the lawn. Some people do say sometimes that it can lead to having a bit of a checkerboard pattern if you distribute it wrong, but if you just use your eyeballs and take your time, you're going to be fine. Now instead of going across this lawn 3 times as well, I'm going to go across twice. I'm going to actually increase the size of the holes from 5 to 7. That'll just mean then I only need to do 1 more pass rather than doing another 2, because some people do comment sometimes and say their lawns are substantially bigger than mine, and to actually go across their lawns 3 times might take the better part of an afternoon. So if that is the case, well, just up your setting on your drop spreader and you'll be fine. So there we go, the lawn has been fertilised. Now, something I haven't mentioned is that this time of year is perfect for scarifying your lawn. And all that means is to rip out any of the thatch that's in your lawn. Now, if you are new to this channel or you haven't seen my previous video, what I did do last week was I actually scarified this. So I scabbed the grass down really low, I scarified it to rip out any of the thatch, and then I overseeded it too. And the reason why I've waited till today to actually get on with the fertilizer is that the new seeds that I put down have started to germinate, and the potassium and the phosphorus in the fertilizer is just going to aid it with its actual root development over the next few weeks. And finally, as ever, we're going to get on the lawns with a little bit of seaweed too. Now, just in short, seaweed is great for the actual root development of the plant. It doesn't make your grass green, it doesn't give it a boost of growth, but it does support those roots, and this can be applied at any time of year. I apply it every month without fail, just to make sure I keep the plants nice and healthy. So as ever, put a little bit of water in the sprayer first before putting in your seaweed. I'm going to put in enough for the bottom lawn and the top lawn, that should be plenty, more than enough. That should be plenty, more than enough in fact. So So there we go, that's it. Just 2 products is all you need to actually take care of your lawn this autumn. You have liquid seaweed and an autumn winter fertilizer mix too. And like I said earlier in the video, if you do want to see my video on how you actually renovate a lawn at this time of year, how to scarify it and how to overseed it, then there'll be a link in the description below or somewhere on screen now. And if you're enjoying this lawn care content, feel free to subscribe. And finally, thanks for watching.